All right, welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here. I think I snaked you.
You did snake me there. Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And me and Gabe, we're going to have another one of our cricket convos for India and England. We didn't do an R3 wickets because we didn't technically stream it. We watched a good portion of it, or at least the good portion of the second innings when we were awake because it started so early for us. But man, I wanted to get on here, talk to Gabe, because we saw something quite extraordinary. Not the fact, well, first of all, India won the first match in the series. How crazy is that, right? That's pretty extraordinary.
Surprise, surprise.
But we saw a match where I think we both agree it was a high-scoring wicket. I mean, it was a high-scoring pitch. There was something with that pitch. Everyone was scoring runs, for crying out loud. But we saw a match where India put up a decent score, 318 or something like that, not too bad. And then England came out in the second innings, and they were just going gangbusters, for crying out loud. They were losing their minds with 133, no outs, sitting pretty. I don't think they got to the 20th over yet or something like that. Maybe it was the 20th over. And then all of a sudden, by the 42nd over, they lost all 10 wickets. I mean, it was a match where like, oh, here we go. Indians going to lose again. What else is new in the first match? And then the bowling, as expensive as they were, they showed up. I mean, what a crazy match. Gabe, what are your first impressions of that crazy match?
So my first impressions, first and foremost, is, and I mentioned this on our last video, or not our last video, I think it was on my rant video, where why don't I hear all the complaints about these wickets being too flat and these pitches being too flat, right? Bro, everybody got pumped out there today. Boovie, this shows how good Boovie really is. He had a 330 economy rate. Other than that, everybody was in the sixes, bro, and sevens. I mean, Pandya was at 590. That's almost a six right there. On the other side, bro, Mark Wood has lost it. 750 economy rate. Oh my gosh. Everybody got pumped with the exception of Stokes, who got 3 wickets and had a 420 economy rate. But bro, this is supposed to be ODI, right? And I'm like, are you kidding me? India put up 317, bro. That's crazy to me. In a one-day match. I'm like, really? Really? Oh my gosh, bro. Guys are getting pumped. You know, it's funny. I wake up, and of course, it's gonna happen. I wake up, Nick. And I was already stressed out because of another game that I was dealing with, you know, New Zealand. Everybody was like, oh, New Zealand will do it. Even Gabe's curse can't affect New Zealand. They'll chase in the 30th over. Bro, it's like, I was restless. I woke up every 20 minutes like, oh my gosh, it's the 50th. Oh, they're going to 48th over, basically, before they could tighten up that game. You got to be kidding me. But I wake up at like 6 o'clock, and I look, and I'm like, oh my gosh, 130, I think it was 120 something at that point, no outs. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I said to myself, I know without a doubt, I'm going to hear it. And then I get the Knicks text. Bro, your boy Bairstow went off. Oh gosh. I just finished trashing him. I just finished trashing Bairstow. And of course he goes up. That's my point exactly. His inconsistency. And Bairstow at that point had like 80, I think it was like 75, 80 runs when we started watching. Like, you got to be kidding me, bro. And of course, he did a Bairstowian thing, got dismissed on a silly shot, right? Pumped it straight up in the air, 94 runs. You can't make it up.
94, though.
Still got 94, right? But that, to me, was once again why Bairstow drives you crazy. Because right after that, that's when the wheels started falling off, Nick. And the wickets just fell one after another, after another, after another. And it's like, you've got to be there for your team, and you've got to understand the role you're playing. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I just don't think, like I said, he's selfish. Some of the things he does, it just drives me crazy, man. But, let's talk about the fact that for whatever reason, Virat Kohli cannot win a coin toss, because once again, they lose the coin toss, and England decides, you know what? We want to go ahead and bowl. We'll let you bat first. Big mistake. All right, big mistake. it's just crazy to me how good India is and how many people. It's always somebody different too. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, Virat Kohli went down early, no problem. We got somebody else that could go off for us, Rohit Sharma, whoever. And this guy, you know who went off today? The other guy that I crushed, Shikhar Dhawan. Oh my gosh, bro! I'm like, it was just like the Gabe poop party, all right? Everybody just wanted to come and rain on me. It's hard to get out of bed sometimes, Nick, because I can't continue to. Everybody, did you like get these guys collectively and said, listen, Bairstow, Shikhar Dhawan, Gabe was talking all kinds of stuff about you guys. That's unacceptable. Let's go put him in his place, teach him a lesson. Oh, and by the way, New Zealand, why don't you give him a heart attack so that the Kiwi fans, the nicest people in the world, were DMing me saying, we don't need your support. I'm telling you, true story. Somebody said we don't need your support. Like, oh, wow. There's no such thing as curses, people.
Listen, that's why I put out the Bairstow rant, right? I mean, he listened to that and he's like, who are these jokers? Beautiful video, by the way, by you. All right. So let's talk about the India performances first. So Rohit Sharma, he gets to 20 out of 42 balls. You know, not horrible, but you're expecting a little more because he's an ODI king. To your point, Dewan, right? Or I like how you say it, a lot faster than the way I say it. 98 runs on 106 balls. 106 balls, 11 boundaries. Kohli, 56. Once again, still in form. KL Rahul, finally, 62, not out. Pandya, 58 on the debut, not out. I mean, you had some masterful performances. On the bowling side, you had Bhuvi still doing Bhuvi things with a low economy rate, 2 wickets. You had Krishna, who gave a lot of runs, but he got 4 wickets. And then Thakur doing what Thakur does, get up some runs, but getting huge wickets. Kuldeep Yadav, he had a tough day at the yard. But all these amazing performances, that's the thing about ODI. I think Gabe feels the same way, but I don't want to speak for him. ODI for me is my least favorite of the 3 formats.
Yeah.
But one thing that's great about it is you have enough room for these great performances, and you don't have to wait 5 days, which I don't mind doing that. But so many great performances on the India side. And there was a point, I'm not going to say that they were nervous and they were freaking out, but I would have been if I were them. They went from, oh, this is bad, this is rough, to this is over. We're gonna win this in the next 2 wickets. It's not even a question. And that was like a 10-over difference. How crazy was that?
Absolutely crazy, man. I think some important things happened today. Some that I'm gonna get a little hate for. It is what it is. And some that is a serious question. Okay. First and foremost, and I know you disagree with me here, but there was an injury, right? So I get that. But your boy Iyer has not looked good. Shreyas Iyer has not looked good in the last month. He might have gotten maybe or I would say in the last few weeks, he maybe gotten a 50 in there somewhere. But he's been kind of shaky, bro. He went out today. Iyer went out. What were his numbers? Let me get up there because I remember looking at it.
6 runs off 9 balls.
6 balls off 9 runs. And he got hurt, right? They had to replace him because I think he hit the ground hard or something like that. Shubman Gill came in as a replacement for him. So who even knows? Maybe that will solve the conversation of Iyer, but he has been one of the weaker links. Go back. We're talking about T20 as well, Nick. I'm telling you, over the 5 T20 stretches, I think he had one game where he had 50, if I'm not mistaken, and everything else was relatively low scoring, and he just hasn't been as impactful. I mean, Rohit had his moments. Kohli has had his moments. Of course, Pandya Hardik has had his moments. To me, he's just been weak. That's just my observation, all right? And like I said, I knew I was going to get some hate for that. But Kuldeep Yadav, and you know what's funny? I watched this story on Kuldeep Yadav, how he's been one of the longest running players that India has, and he's gotten so many chances because he's unique, right? As a left-handed spinner, he's unique, but he has not been good, guys. He just hasn't. Is it time to just pack it in and say, okay, we've got other guys, because he's holding up a spot. Think about some of the guys that are down there right now that aren't playing right now, Nick. You know what I mean? From Tawadia to Bishnoi, to guys that we really like. Have you seen anything that tells you Kuldeep Yadav deserves a spot on this international team?
Not at all. And what I keep hearing about the reason why he's out there is that he is masterful on the Indian pitch. Wasn't masterful in the test series, the match that he was put in there. It was one match, but still, he did not look comfortable. He did not look good whatsoever. You can tell that he was visibly frustrated. And I would say for the most part, when a bowler has a bad over, they're not smiling and happy, but they're pretty composed. He was so disappointed himself time and time again. I think that confidence issue was there. You know, I love to correct you when you're wrong, but you weren't totally wrong with Shreyas Iyer. He had a 67 and a 37, and then 2 matches that he didn't bat too well. You know I love Shreyas Iyer, so I'm still going to defend him, but you weren't too far off base there.
So, I mean, those were the 2 things that really stood out to me from this performance, okay? As far as, like, on the India side, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, you know, England, let's be real. England was the number 1 T20s team, and people are saying they're still all the number 1 T20s. I don't care what the point standing said. If you're the top dog and I beat you, I'm the top dog. So right now, in my eyes, India is the top T20 squad. That's just how it goes, all right? I don't care about points and, you know, all kinds of ridiculous thing when teams haven't even played the same amount of games. You know what I'm saying? That's one. And everybody said, listen, India, I mean, this England is the defending ODI champs. All right. They beat New Zealand on what was a questionable call. Just saying, you know, you catch a ball and God, you know, if the ball touches the ground, even though you got control of it, it doesn't. What? Still a rule that doesn't even make sense to me. Really, it's ridiculous. But with that being said, England are the ODI champs, and they've got some great players, Nick. But does it look like England is that much better than India? Not to me. And I'm rooting for England. That's just telling me that, you know what, these teams are a lot more par, and, you know, maybe people underestimated India's white ball game. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people said the same thing. Oh, I don't think India has a chance against England in T20. They got the squad. Just saying, that's not how it turned out. Now, that was only a 1 game different, you know what I mean? But I expected, bro, after 135 not out, to come and have this kind of a batting collapse? I mean, is it that England is just that shaky right now and that suspect, or is it that India is that good? I will let you answer the question. What both cannot be true. All right. So is it if England is that good, that means India is actually that good. Or if India is not really that good, that means that England is shaky themselves and they're bad. Which one is it?
Let me start off by saying in the commentary box, I don't know who the commentators were, right? But they were mentioning how it's the middle part of the roster for England that's very suspect right now. It's killing them right now in all formats. I would say, now, I got to say, obviously, Indian home ground always favors a home team, you know, for the conditions. And this is ODI, right? It's not test where it's 5 days of a beaten up pitch, but it's still going to favor the home team. So I want to start off by saying that. But to answer your question, we have seen in all 3 formats of this series so far, we've seen India look shaky but outlast. We've seen England either look shaky or look really good and not be able to last the entire time. And I don't think it's an endurance. I don't think it's a physical fitness thing. It might be a mindset thing. And it might be, honestly, not all these guys were there in Australia for the test series, but they were there for the different formats, most of these guys. I really think India grew a lot. They were able to build up a lot from what happened in Australia and all the adversity they had to hit. And they are just one of those teams. Unfortunately, Nick can't sit there and say it's over, because I was so close to saying it in this match, because Bairstow was having a lot of fun. Yeah, he goes down to 94, but he still gives you 94. And, oh, we got Butler. Oh, we got Morgan coming in. This is going to be horrible. And then they go down. Like, what? Right? They go down quick. And then even when it got to the Curran brothers, I figured this is just poetic justice for me. They're going to outlast. They're going to chase. And then they went down. I think there's some type of mental situation with lasting a longer time. And you have Rue's a captain of the test squad. You have Owen Morgan's a captain of the ODI squad and the T20 squad, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not the same captain in all formats, but that is my answer to it. But this match was just so crazy where everyone was scoring runs. And then all of a sudden, whether it was the mental, whatever it was, the endurance thing, but for some reason in a pitch that everyone was losing their mind on, England can't get the other 170 runs without losing. All they needed to get was 170 and 9 wickets. They couldn't do that, Gabe. They couldn't do that in 30 overs.
And I think what you're trying to say is that India is battle tested. And you're right. They're battle tested. There's no situation that you can put in front of them right now that is worse than being in Australia at the Gabba, no Virat Kohli. Everybody and their mother's hurt. Muhammad Shami's hurt. I mean, you know what I mean? And it's like, nah, we're going to bang. You know, and I think that they've got that mentality where even today, 135 no out, when that first wicket fell, I think it was Booby that took it. Kohli starts yelling, ah, and I'm like, bro, you got a long way to go. But I think to him, it was just like, oh, here it goes. Like, they still have that belief. We're not out of the game. We're never out of the game. You know what I'm saying? And that may be it. On the England side, as I'm watching it, right, it's so interesting to me. Moeen Ali's dismissal, to me, was one of those things where it was like almost such a lazy, like, it was on the edge, right? Very beginning of the over or whatnot. He had already put up 30 runs, and then it was like Boovy once again, outside edge goes, and he walked away, and I knew he was out. I didn't expect him to challenge it, but it was almost like you threw your wicket away, bro. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, you're in the middle of a chase. You're in the middle of a chase. What's going on? I did not understand that chase. Luckily, they brought in Sam Curran, and you know what? He couldn't get it done today. He tried to, and at the very beginning of the next over too. Both guys actually, very beginning of the over, he tried to come up the crease, go for a 6, popped it straight up in the air, skied it like maybe 13,000 miles in the air, and it was just waiting for it to come down. And Shubman Gill ain't dropping that, cousin. All right, Shubman Gill got some great hands. And this is a true batting collapse. And if you are an England fan, you have got to admit, from 130 not out to no outs to 251 all out, that tells you, oh my gosh, 121 runs, and we dropped 10 wickets. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. That's a batting collapse.
I consider myself an England fan. But for the diehard England fans, I mean, you've got to be thinking, like, can we just leave India, please? Can we just leave? Because it has been the type of tour in India where we could easily be talking about how India fouled this up, how they fouled up the WTC and they let England win 2 or 3 matches, how they fouled up the T20, even though England ranked number 1, right? So maybe a huge foul up, but India's number 2. And then how, we don't know how the rest of the ODI series is, but we could be easily talking about that. You're talking about 3 or 4 matches that could have gone England's way, and they're sitting there like, look at us now. We go into India. This is what we did. So if you're an England fan, it's tough. I'm not piling it on. I sympathize with you, but this was just a historic match. We wanted to talk a little bit about it. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are in this match. Let us know your insights. We know you guys bring some great insights, and we can't wait to read them and react and respond to them. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if this is your first time. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.